You better get up, stand up. If you've been done wrong, you better stand up for your rights like that Marley song. Get yourself represented, lawfully defended. Know your human rights, don't ever surrender. No, don't.
Welcome to Justice for All, the program that takes you through the ins and outs of Jamaica's legal and justice systems and how they affect you. Jamaica's crime rate is alarming, and with more and more law-abiding citizens arming themselves, we're starting to see more and more mobs ganging up on alleged criminals, beating and even killing them. But before you break off more than you could handle, we decided to look at the laws in place for self-defense.
In the context of our court system, the courts have followed the common law principles that relate to self-defense, and you are permitted to invoke the idea of self-defense if you're defending yourself, property, you're preventing the commission of an offence, or you believe that somebody is about to commit an offence. Now, how they will consider whether it's reasonable or not is to look at the circumstances of each case. So it's never considered the same in each case. You have to look at the circumstances.
Your life is in immediate danger, so it is okay for you to use whatever force that is necessary at the time to defend your life. But if, for instance, something is stolen from your house, you see somebody running away with an item from your house, there is nothing that's going to cover you if you should actually hurt that person. The truth is the offense has already taken place, and you have no right at that time to use any form of force, of lethal force, to defend the property which was taken away from you.
I think there was a case a few years ago that went to the Court of Appeal in England, where an intruder had come into the house and tied up his wife, and then the intruder had run off. In running off, the person whose wife it was ran outside, got a piece of stick and hit him until he quite severely assaulted him. Now that was deemed unreasonable. Why? Because he had run away. And so if the threat is no longer imminent, then you cannot use the defense of self-defense. The threat has to be imminent for you to consider reasonable force.
What about the right to detain? Are you able to detain someone in your property?
As a civilian, no, it's not. What we recommend is that you get in touch with the police as quickly as possible for them to come and do whatever is necessary.
Suppose someone, a boxer, karate expert, was approaching me looking like they wanted to do me harm. They're not armed. Now, if I were to pull a gun on them and shoot them, would I be in trouble?
That would not be reasonable in the circumstances. What you have to consider is what you needed to do to apprehend the person.
Now, there have been many instances of high school students being caught with weapons. How would you treat with those cases?
We do have a law enforced right now which speaks to persons walking with weapons to defend themselves. We have arrested quite a number of persons for being armed with offensive weapon. And it's something that we really need to take seriously, because quite a number of students these days are involved in a number of fights. And we see where these implements of offensive weapons are the prominent instrument that is being used.
All right, as a citizen of Jamaica yourself, if we take away the badges and the weapons, how would you go about defending yourself from physical attack? And how would you recommend others do the same?
I would recommend that, as best as we possibly can, get ourselves engaged in some form of self-defense class, because it is something that can prove itself to be very, very useful. And even if you cannot afford to get involved in one of those organized classes, certainly you can just think of some simple ways of helping to defend yourself by being aware of your surrounding. Ensure that whatever you're going to be doing, you look at the possible escape routes if you're going somewhere, and just be careful of the environment that you find yourself in.
So what are your thoughts on some of the non-lethal weaponry available other than firearms, like tasers and pepper spray?
Well, we can speak definitive to the fact that pepper spray, they are allowed. In fact, we do have places that you can go and you get these pepper spray, and we have seen from experiences where they have been used as very, very good self-defense weapon, particularly for females. And we, at the academy, we do issue them to students for that purpose. But for the tasers, no, that's a no-no in terms of use by civilians.
Why not with the tasers?
It can be used, it can be seen as an implement that can be very, very dangerous. Persons might have it legally for self-defense purposes, but it can be mistaken for a lethal weapon, and sometimes persons will just need to see it and think that it's more harmful than it actually is. So we have to be careful of that, so we do not encourage that. In fact, we consider it illegal for persons to use. I believe that having a gun sometimes is really a false sense of security, because one of the things that we find based on evidence is that a lot of times persons would tend to move away from things if they're unarmed, but if they're armed, they think they can take on the challenges. We find that sometimes persons do more than they are required to in terms of taking on things, because whilst you do have a gun, certainly there are times when the circumstances will need more than just one person. And when we try to take on things just like that, sometimes we can find ourselves into problems.
Thanks for watching Justice for All. We hope we shed some light on the issue of self-defense. Remember, lethal force should be a last resort, just in case you may end up on the wrong side of the law. Remember, justice for one means justice for all.
You better get up, stand up. If you've been done wrong, you better stand up for your rights like that Marley song. Keep yourself represented, lawfully defended.